There are many stories in this world. Some are read widely all over the world. Some are hidden in dust and known only by a handful of people. Today I'm going to tell you a story no one else has heard before. A real story of mystery and wonder and adventure. And then you too will become the guardian of this story. The story takes place in a world of long ago. The hero of our story is a little boy. His name is Daniel. One day, out of nowhere, Daniel got a serious case of chickenpox. It made him look like a strawberry. To make sure he didn't spread it to others, Mrs. Page, the principal, had him isolate in an attic. And so, in the attic he lived, all on his own.
Mr. Daniel, while up here in this attic, you'll have plenty of time to practice your penny whistle. I hope you'll practice well and prepare for next month's art festival.
But Mrs. Page, the melody is so difficult.
Don't give up, boy. You don't give up before you fight.
Gut, du hast Windpocken. Du bleibst jetzt für immer auf dem Dachboden und stirbst dort.
Daniel was reluctant at first, but he trusted Mrs. Page, and he knew he should listen. And so he practiced the penny whistle.
Start. Was soll ich jetzt machen? Ach, Leute. Space. Hätte wenigstens noch Blütengeräusche werden. Punkte.
Suddenly, he heard some strange noises in the corner of the attic.
Huh? Who's there?
Daniel decided to go over and take a look.
Ah, ich kann mich umgucken. Ich wollte alles bemalt. Ich bin raus. Ich bin kerngesund. Ich habe keine Windpocken. Mal gucken. Vielleicht. Teddy! Wie geht's dir denn? Eine Mausefalle. Ich helfe dir mal.
It was a mousetrap, and there was a red origami paper dragon inside of it.
Rette den Drachen.
Daniel carefully removed it. It was marvelous and beautiful. The only problem was part of its wing was damaged. But Daniel found a way to repair it.
Los, reparieren wir den kleinen süßen Drachen. Ich will reparieren.
Daniel held the repaired paper dragon high up in the air, imagining that it soared over all the world below.
Kinderfantasie.
He played and played with the paper dragon.
Wee! Woo! Dragon! Soar!
warm afternoon sun, Daniel had to fight his eyelids just to keep them open.
Could it be? Or is this all just a dream?
The next day, with boredom and loneliness weighing him down, he began to fiddle with the old radio.
Our town is located in the plains, where earthquakes are not particularly common. Although there are 17 fault zones around us, they are all inactive.
Was soll man machen, wenn man Windpocken hatte? Ist man total isoliert teilweise.
A scrunched up ball of paper rolled over to his feet.
Where did this paper ball come from?
Just as Daniel went to pick it up, the ball suddenly came to life, and it rolled away. Daniel chased after it.
Ich würde sagen, das Dachboden will mit uns spielen. Komm her. Lass uns spielen. Hey, nicht so schnell, ich bin nicht so schnell. Schnell! Ich schick dich. Ich werde dich fangen. Da willst du mich verarschen. Hab ich dich.
Just as he was about to seize the rolling paper ball, suddenly, terrible sparks erupted from it.
Okay, jetzt will ich dich nicht mehr. Du bist böse.
Before his
Wow.
very eyes, the paper ball began to grow, bigger and bigger. At that moment, a red figure suddenly appeared. The red figure quickly subdued the paper ball and threw it into a cardboard box. Daniel studied the red figure carefully.
Der rote Drache, den wir davor gerettet haben, der hat sich revanchiert.
It had a sticker on its fluttering wing. It was the paper dragon.
I wasn't dreaming. Thank you for saving me.
Daniel was grateful and very happy. He walked closer to the paper dragon, but the paper dragon seemed timid and afraid and backed away. Just then, Daniel had an idea.
Was hat er denn für eine Idee?
He took out his penny whistle and slowly played a tune.
Und wir spielen wieder. Yay. Nein! Hat er gedrückt.
The paper dragon enjoyed the sound very much. It began to move along with the rhythm, flipping up and down in the air. Soon the two were playing and dancing, just like old friends.
Wie kann man am besten Flöte lernen? Haben wir einen neuen Freund gefunden? Oh. Jetzt ist es noch ein Knopf.
The paper dragon traced out a beautiful arc in the air, communicating with Daniel in a unique way.
Jetzt ist nur noch ein Stück Papier. Toll. Kannst du die nicht wieder zurückverwandeln? Mein Freund ist jetzt weg.
My cherished friend, after many long years, we finally meet again. Tell me, how has your family been? A great thank you for playing that music for me. You know how I love the beautiful rhythm of that instrument. But we ought to take precautions, as the room is not stable. Do you still remember how the room works? You're welcome to visit any time.
The piece of paper then changed back into the shape of a paper dragon and flew into the cardboard box. The box closed shut, and a calm silence was restored to the attic.
Okay. Das ist nicht der Dachboden der SCP, sondern die Kiste, die gut und böse zugleich ist.
Daniel rushed to find a watercolor pen and marked the box with excitement in his fingertips.
Markieren wir sie mal. Hier. Weg. Hier wohnt der Drache.
Over the next few days, the paper dragon came out often to play with Daniel. During this time, Daniel introduced many of his friends to the paper dragon.
That cat's name is Mrs. Carter. Ever since I secretly fed her some fish for dinner, we've been good friends. That's Duke, Mrs. Jessica's pet. He doesn't like rainy days or Mrs. Carter. Only smoked sausages fit his taste. And now, we are friends too. My name is Daniel. What's your name?
The paper dragon flapped its wings, as if it didn't understand him.
Well, since you like the sound of the penny whistle so much, why don't I just call you Penny? I'll keep practicing to make it sound better.
Daniel and Penny then played baseball together in the attic.
Let's play cat.
Geht. Halte sie, um es aufzuladen. Hui. Jetzt spielen wir Besteckchen oder hol den Ball. Hui. Direkt gefangen.
Just as they were in the middle of enjoying themselves, a violent shaking suddenly rose from the ground.
The stubborn earthquake is back at it, folks, and it seems even stronger than last time.
At this moment, the box suddenly shot open, and thick clouds of smoke billowed out, followed by several paper balls. Penny attacked the paper balls without a moment's hesitation, and promptly threw them back into the box. Penny then flew around in front of Daniel and rushed right back into the box. As the box closed, the earthquake stopped. Facing a friend's farewell without a formal goodbye, Daniel felt confused and lost. He moved the box to the center of the attic. Facing it, he practiced his penny whistle, day in and day out.
Ich würde mal sagen, eine magische Box.
As the days went by, Daniel's playing became smoother. One day, the box suddenly began to move.
Nanu.
1,
What?
2, 3, 4. This time there were 4 paper dragons. But they weren't alone. Enemies began to jump out of the box too.
Ein Krieg. Gegen Blitz, Knäuel. Er wird gewinnen.
Earthquake! Another earthquake! This time it's reached a magnitude of 5.8!
In that small attic, the 4 paper dragons fought fiercely against the paper balls. This time, the paper balls used new tactics. They clumped together into a single monstrous ball of paper. It began to shoot strong bursts of electric sparks at the paper dragons as they flew through the air. As they were hit, the paper dragons fell from the air, one after the other.
Oh nein! Rettet die Drachen!
Seeing the injured paper dragons, Daniel felt very distressed and anxious.
Lass dir was einfallen.
Just then, one of the paper dragons painfully started to fly and gathered the remainder of its power. The paper dragon transformed into a great beam of light and dove straight down to pierce through the monstrous paper ball. And then came another paper dragon.
Ja, was ist das denn für eine geile Geschichte, wenn man das so voll
The
Kinderstory.
monstrous paper ball was blasted to bits, exploding into smaller paper balls. Trembling, they struggled to escape back into the box. The sacrificed paper dragons were reduced to swirling shreds of paper, and a silence pervaded. Peace and tranquility were restored once again to the attic. Daniel saw the remaining 2 paper dragons lying on the floor, badly wounded. He rushed to grab some stickers and treated them at once.
Gehen wir sie mal schnell retten. Hui! Hui! Eine magische Welt. Gerettet. Hey, mein Großer. Helf dir mal. Hui.
Suddenly, countless paper dragons began to gush from the box. The 2 wounded paper dragons were repaired and began to fly. Like 2 colored threads, they merged with the other dragons, flying in unison. The dragons moved like a tide, flying freely through the attic. Daniel eagerly took out his penny whistle. He showed all his paper dragon friends the results of his hard work and practice.
Zeigen wir mal den Drachen, wie gut wir spielen können. Mal den Drachen mal eine kleine Freude. Wir haben viel geübt. Nein, ich hab verkackt. Wie unfair. Ich dachte, beides gleichzeitig drücken. Das war uncool. Wird irgendwie echt dieses Flötenspiel, wenn man sich das überlegt. Man dieses Allgemeinmusik irgendwann spielt, aber okay, Flötenmusik fehlt echt.
In the sweet melody of his playing, Daniel felt himself enter into the world of dragons.
Oh, wir sind in deren Welt jetzt. Jetzt nicht mehr so stark aus Papier. Zettel.
The paper dragons merged into a long letter and floated down towards Daniel to tell their story.
Alter, ganz viele Storys, ganz viele Geschichten.
After the last war, the fantasy world enjoyed a long spell of peace and stability. But now, the giants have returned. They have launched ferocious attacks, trying to invade your world through the room. We are prepared to launch the final defense. Then we will have to destroy your room, for it is the last remaining entryway into your world. Please believe this farewell will only be temporary. We will not be apart forever, and we will never forget our eternal mission of protecting you.
Also das heißt entweder, ja, da müssten sie rein theoretisch die schöne Kiste kaputt machen. Hoffentlich wir sehen uns wieder. Ihr Drachen.
At that moment, the paper dragons flew back into the box. Daniel still couldn't fully understand what the paper dragons had meant, but he had a vague feeling in his heart that he may never see his new friends again.
Ja, die Kiste jetzt Fantasiewelt kaputt ist.
A few days later, Daniel's chickenpox had fully recovered. He could now play the penny whistle very, very well. But the paper dragons never returned.
Packen wir mal alles ein. Muss er ja sowieso machen.
Maybe it was time to leave and move on.
Earthquake warning! Magnitude 6.2! A massive earthquake is hitting our town! All townspeople, please leave your houses immediately and move to safe open spaces!
Just then, countless paper dragons shot from the cardboard box. However, it seemed like they were under attack, spinning and falling through the air in confusion.
What's happening?
Daniel quickly grabbed the stickers out from his bag and did his best to heal the injured paper dragons.
Ich glaube nicht, dass er alle retten kann. Alter. Kann ich's mal. Ah. Ganz schön kann ich nur mal Matsche retten. Ganz schnell so viele retten wie möglich. Komm, ich rette euch. So viele wie möglich. Yo!
But the paper balls swarmed together and pushed Daniel away, subduing him firmly in the corner. He couldn't move.
Nein.
Suddenly, ominous clouds rose from the box, and a violent lightning flashed through the room. The figure of a giant slowly emerged from the thick clouds, and the entire attic became overwhelmed with its evil aura.
The earthquake is growing stronger, now with a magnitude of 7.1! Heaven almighty, are we doomed?
Sehr wenig.
Fire unleashed its power maniacally. The paper dragons struggled against it, with no means of fighting back.
Die Flöte.
At this critical moment, two paper dragons shined brilliantly. Together, they heroically crashed their bodies into the giant. Daniel thought the giant had been defeated by the paper dragons, but soon he found that things would probably not be so simple.
Vielleicht die Musik könnte helfen.
The giant's figure could still be seen in the thick smoke, looking evil and terrible. The attacks of the paper dragons had had no effect, and the giant had only grown stronger. It fought back with a new ferocity. The paper dragons were simply no match for it.
The earthquake is going stronger still! The greatest disaster this town has seen in over 100 years! My heavens! Will this nightmare ever end?
Das letzte Gefecht.
With the paper dragons now all but defeated, Daniel spotted a frail figure in the distance. It was Penny. It flew gently in front of Daniel and affectionately rubbed its head against his fingers, as if this whole crisis had never happened. Daniel felt like Penny was trying to tell him something, but he didn't quite understand what.
Jetzt fliehen. Flieh, solange du noch kannst.
Penny then left Daniel and soared into the air with a determination in its wings. Suddenly, the other paper dragons seemed to be summoned. They flew through the air, all together in unison, responding to the call without an ounce of hesitation. At that moment, Penny turned into a great red beam and rushed fast towards the giant. The other dragons followed, shining together like a shooting star. At that moment, Daniel seemed to see a real dragon flying.
No!
Nein, du sollst dich nicht opfern.
The huge explosion from the impact drowned out everything else in the attic. The attic rained down with countless pieces of paper, the leftover scraps of the paper dragons. Daniel wanted to collect all of the pieces. He thought he could still fix them.
So opferte er sich. Unser Freund Flöti. Uns zu retten.
Goodbye, my friend.
Eine bewegende Geschichte.
The nightmare is over. The earthquake has stopped. With God's mercy, our town is safe. We thank you, Lord, for your protection.
A few days later, the art festival was held as scheduled. Daniel attended the show with his penny whistle.
And now, Daniel Trevor will perform a penny whistle solo of a song titled Fly With Me.
Eine Geschichte über Freundschaft. Das Meister 5000 Punkte.
And that's how the story ends. Now, you might be wondering, what happened next? Are there still paper dragons in the world? Well, that's a difficult question to answer. But I believe that they are still protecting us somewhere in this world, just like they promised they would, forever, into eternity.
Das war doch eine süße Geschichte.